This is Steve Hiles welcoming you to episode 34 of the Teacher Rockstar podcast, a place where tips and strategies critical to the new teacher are discussed. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about classroom expectations. But before we start today's episode, a quick word from our sponsor. Would you like to supercharge your classroom management skills? Well, if you're a brand new teacher, a student teacher, a teacher returning back to the classroom, or a seasoned teacher for that matter, the Teacher Rockstar Academy course is for you. Gain the confidence, the skills you'll need to crush it on day one and beyond. Enroll now at the teacherrockstaracademy.com. That's teacherrockstaracademy.com. And this will be a transformational experience, I promise you. Okay, let's dive right in here. Teaching is a delicate matter. It takes courage, effort, and an endless amount of patience. New teachers leave the profession a lot of times because of stressors that stem from classroom management and a heavy workload or lack of administrative support. At the outset of a new career as an educator, it's normal to struggle with feelings of insecurity, about your ability to manage your classroom. You may think, for example, that if you're too nice, your students won't respect your authority. Still, it's possible for you to create a warm, friendly classroom and gain your students' respect at the same time. Allowing your students to make simple decisions, such as which assignment to do first, will improve your chances of developing a cooperative classroom and give your students a boost in confidence. Teachers are human beings, and teaching is a profession that deserves all the respect it can get, and expecting a certain level of understanding and behavior from their students. Each classroom and school will require the development of a unique set of expectations, such as every teacher wants their students to follow classroom rules. They expect them to be on time and stay punctual. Every student comes to the class prepared, respectful towards their peers and teachers. They return assignments on time, stay at the end of the day in the class until the teacher dismisses them. Participate in discussions that take place in the class. Stay seated during classroom activities and events. Help each other. Work quietly and follow directions. Raise their hand before speaking. Now, of course, these are just some of the things that teachers expect from their students. Obviously, you want to see your students succeed, but at the same time, you may feel pressure to get through the curriculum and may not devote sufficient time to learning about your students' personal abilities and interests. Before barreling through the content, get to know your kids so that you could better comprehend what to expect of them. Start with the first day of school. Create an open dialogue with your students and encourage them to share information about themselves. For example, ask the students to pair up and interview each other, and then share what they learned with the class. Community building activities are a great way of doing this. Practicing self-management skills. Okay, to build confident, independent students who can think for themselves, practice self-management skills early on. If you plan to have your students participate in learning centers and small groups at some point, they will need to practice working independently. Now, I have to tell you that this may take weeks to build independent learners. It's not going to happen overnight. If this is the case, then hold off on the learning centers and small groups until your students are ready. The next thing I want to talk about is keeping it simple. When you keep routines and independent work simple, you're helping students to build their confidence and self-management skills, which in turn will help them become more successful learners. And as these skills become more ingrained in your students, you can increase their workload and their access to a greater variety of academic materials. The reason teachers have to practice skills to maintain their students' discipline is because students do not just agree with their teacher to follow the rules of the class or act in a responsible way and stay respectful towards their peers as well as teachers. Teachers have to inject the idea like planting a tree so students can develop a deeper perspective over time. Teachers work hard to provide quality education to their students, and when their class turns out not making even the smallest of efforts to keep the environment of the class healthy, it becomes a letdown for teachers, and for that reason, some lose their motivation and eventually leave the profession. When teachers first enter their classrooms, they expect that students will behave. Yet some classroom management courses make assumptions that every student will be waiting anxiously when the teacher gives instructions. One minor detail that's always skipped in those courses is students don't always respond to us the way that we think they should. In fact, some of them actually completely ignore us. Some will roll their eyes, and some will be extremely disrespectful. Some might even sleep in class or text through the lesson or daydream during class. Some just flat out refuse to do the work. Let's pause for another quick word from our sponsor. Imagine having access to educational products, instructional videos, top-rated teacher podcasts, and articles worth over $1,000 for just pennies a day. Now, wouldn't that be awesome? And you know what the best part is? You get a 7-day free trial. So really, what do you have to lose? Go check it out and take a look around. See if it's for you. All you have to do is simply go to myteachermembership.com. That's myteachermembership.com. And I will be adding more products, which means more value each and every month. You're going to love being part of this teacher membership community. Okay, let's continue on. Teachers want students to come to class each day ready to learn. They want them to come prepared, focused, and motivated. They want students to enjoy the learning process and to be an active participant in their learning. Teachers want students to be respectful. They want kids to respect their authority. They want students to respect each other. They want students to respect themselves. A respectful and trusting environment allows teachers to maximize learning opportunities each and every day. Teachers also want students to understand that the concepts they are teaching them are meaningful. They want their students to make real-life connections. They also want their students to see the big picture and to understand that they truly are there because they want to make a difference. Teachers want students to be critical thinkers, that's for sure. They want students who desire to understand the process of finding the answer as much as the answer itself. And I find that, to me, very, very important, Teachers also want students to put their best foot forward and are invested in learning as the teacher is in teaching. Teachers want students to recognize individual strengths and weaknesses. They want their students to apply strengths so that others in the class can learn from them. They want students to be aware of their weaknesses and to make a continuous effort to improve upon those weaknesses. And last, the only thing that teachers look for is respect and compassion from their students who appreciate their efforts by working hard and proving it to the teacher who taught them all year long. Well, this brings us to the end of this episode. I want to thank you for listening to the Teacher Rockstar podcast. I'm your host, Steve Hiles, and I really hope that you enjoyed listening to these tips and strategies on classroom expectations. When you get a moment, visit my blog and subscribe to my newsletter for the latest educational research, freebies, and other unadvertised bonuses at stevesclassroomresources.blogspot.com. That's stevesclassroomresources.blogspot.com. And don't forget to subscribe to us at the Teacher Rockstar podcast. And if you'd like to support us, please feel free to share our podcast with others. Post about it on social media. Leave a rating and review. That would be super, super cool. Thanks again, and we'll see you same time, same place next week. And remember, my friend, you got this.